Hey friends, I'm Gio, and welcome to my main channel. I write and narrate the stories on my channel, rather than let an AI do it. Why let the computer have all the fun? Besides, I love it. Today's story is about love long forgotten, and then rekindled with a long-lost letter. Let's get started. Saturday, October 8th, 10 days before fall midterms. "Chris, where do you want these?" my brother Chad yelled, carrying two large green plastic storage bins with snap-on lids. "What are they labeled?" I called back. It was 8 in the morning. I leaned against the beige wall, stretching until my vertebrae popped. Where had I put my coffee? "Top one says high school, bottom says PlayStation," Chad yelled. "By the flat screen." He set them down while I opened the container labeled dishes. Mom had given me her old ones, 3 of each, plus utensils, and some towels packed around them. "I thought you hated high school. What would you want to keep?" Chad asked. "My yearbooks, the silver trophy from the science fair, the sweatshirt my first boyfriend gave me, and a dozen copies of Analog magazine, where I published my first short story." I closed my eyes and arched my back, relishing the stretch. "That sure beats the curve," he said. "First story you ever sent out and you got published, and you were in high school. You still write?" "Are you kidding? No time," I replied. "Taking classes on how to write is harder than just writing. So many rules and styles, you don't get a chance to develop your own. Then they expect you to write a whole novel in 1 semester. That's 100,000 words, twice that if it's an epic. You have to maintain a pace of 2,000 words a day. Only Brandon Sanderson or Stephen King can do that." "You?" "Us mere juniors shoot for 500 words a day. Or at least I did, before homework became a nightmare. I'm about to learn from the pros. One of my professors self-published a book of poems. The other wrote 5 slice-of-life short stories that were published in some online compilation." "What does that mean for you?" "Nothing," I said. "Neither professor has published much, which means they feel entitled to tear down everyone who has." "How many have you published now?" Chad asked, heading out to the truck for more containers. 12. Most in Analog, a couple in online digests." "If you've published more than they have, combined, why take classes from them?" Dad asked, walking through the door carrying an upright vacuum cleaner, a hand-me-down from Grandma. I paused, staring out the open balcony. Great view of the coffee shop. Coffee for Lex, across the street. Car exhaust and curry hung in the zesty October air. A dozen cars lined up in their drive-thru. More people stopped at Lucky's Diner down the street. The smell of pancakes was faint. "To spend thousands of dollars learning how to end a sentence with a period," I said, with half a smirk. "According to them, I'm still working on that one." "I'm Christopher Richens, a junior majoring in creative writing with a minor in psychiatry. Welcome to Lexington, or as Google calls it, the neighborhood of Mount Vernon, Hollywood, Montclair. We just call it Hollywood Mount Vernon. It's close to the University of Kentucky, where I attend class. Dad, Chad, and I are hauling my gear into my first apartment, an 800-square-foot second-floor studio just down from Ali Shiba Pizzeria, named after the legendary racehorse from 1987. The owner was a fan. Finding parking there on Saturday night? Easier to grab a seat at the Gatton Student Center during lunch rush. The apartment is 1 room with a counter and cupboards for a kitchen, a pantry closet, a regular closet, and only 4 outlets. The bathroom and shower are tucked to the side, barely big enough to turn around in. Still, I won't complain. The rent's affordable. It's on the north side of the building, so the sun never hits it directly. It's big enough for me, a couch, a mattress, currently upright and wrapped in plastic, the bed frame we still need to assemble, the flat screen, a chest of drawers, and my bike. My folding table desk doubles as both a clutter magnet and a dining table. Something must have shifted inside one of the containers. The PlayStation bin slipped, tumbling to the floor and knocking over the high school container. The lid popped off, and my old yearbooks and memorabilia scattered across the beige carpet. 3 envelopes containing short stories I'd written as a senior spilled out among them. "Sorry," Chad mumbled, kneeling to pick up the envelopes. Dad picked up an old baseball trophy, wiping the dust off its shoulders. We'd taken second place in district my senior year. I played shortstop. One of the yearbooks lodged itself under the upright mattress. Mom had insisted I start with a new bed. Not a twin, but one for adults. A full-sized pillow-top mattress with a black minimalist frame. She and Dad had selected it, paid for it, and had it delivered 30 minutes earlier. They'd trashed my old one. A subtle message. It was time I moved out for good. Mom and Dad had 2 kids, Chad and me. Chad had married and moved out years ago. No grandkids yet, though. Now it was my turn. A light tug on the book. The yearbook slipped free and was mine. I flipped through a few pages at random. On the student body officers page was our infamous class president, also the class clown. A folded corner led me to the football team and the stud I crushed on, as straight as the center line on a highway. He wasn't the only guy I had secret fantasies about. The blonde cheerleader who could do flips on command was easy on the eyes, but hard on the libido. Shale Stone. And he barely knew I existed. I'd gotten up the nerve to talk to him. Once. At lunch. We'd been next to each other in line for burgers. "Hi, Shale. You were really good at the game last week," I said. He glanced at me, serious and composed. "Thanks. You're Chris, the gay kid who writes science fiction?" His voice wavered, like being seen with me made him nervous. The quick glance around didn't help. "That's me. You write?" I asked, ignoring the obvious because my heart had entered sprint mode. Shale knew my name. Only when texting. He picked up his burger and fries and speed-walked to the jock table. He never noticed that my eyes never left his back. That was the deepest conversation we'd ever had outside of schoolwork. As I flipped through the pages, a small envelope fell out, about the size of a thank you card. It hit the carpet on its corner and toppled over. My name was written in blue ballpoint, slightly messy, like the writer had rushed. A guy's handwriting, ragged. One end had a yellowed piece of tape attached. Someone had taped it into my yearbook years ago. I would have remembered if someone had put a letter in my yearbook. I didn't. Or maybe it had been on a page I never visited. "What's that?" Dad asked. I picked it up. It was sealed with a rainbow flag sticker and had the number 27 in the bottom left corner. I opened my eyes a little wider. Only a handful of us had come out back in high school. Some kids made our lives miserable. A lot of others weren't mean. They just avoided us. "What's it say?" Chad asked, his tone teasing. I opened the envelope. The paper ripped clean. Inside was a card, slightly yellowed with age. On the front, a wide-eyed white chihuahua in a yellow rain jacket, a yellow umbrella propped behind him. The caption, "How do you survive the drips of the world?" I opened it. "Raise your tail high and stay positive," spelled Pawsitive. Both Chad and Dad groaned. On the facing page was a short note, same rushed handwriting as the cover. I read it aloud. "Chris, I admire you. I was in your physics class junior year and advanced English senior year. I liked your story in analog, bought a copy. I never had the courage to come out. I wish I did, but I had to live up to expectations. I never knew how to tell you, so I wrote it here, hoping maybe someday you'd find it, maybe understand. You made senior year bearable. You made me hope that life could be different, even if it never was. I just wanted to let you know I loved you. Signed, the guy who sat 2 rows behind you in English." I lowered the letter, rereading it quickly. My thoughts tangled. Could this be a joke? Was it serious? Had a closeted guy crushed on me from afar, only to confess in secret when it was too late to come clean? "Do you remember him?" Chad asked. "It's been 3 years. No, I don't." Scanning through the pages, I found one with yellow tape residue. The chess team page. No wonder I never found it. Who looks at the chess team page? I glanced through the members. Some I remembered, most I didn't. Had I had classes with any of them? "What's the number on the envelope?" Dad asked. 27, I replied. 2 digits. Chad leaned over my shoulder. "Jersey number? Players usually wear jerseys for team photos. Check the team pages." I checked football, baseball, and basketball. Not all wore jerseys, but none had number 27. "What else?" I asked. "Page number?" Chad said. I looked. Staff page. Teachers. Weird. "Nothing," I said. "Whoever it was, you had 2 classes with him," Dad said. "He read your story, admired you for coming out. Maybe it's not 27, but 27? February 7th, like a birthday? Or a holiday? Valentine's is nearby," Chad said. "And Groundhog Day," Dad added. I turned to the events section and remembered. The Valentine's Day dance was held a week early. They needed the gym for a special basketball game on Friday the 14th, district playoffs or something, so everything got rescheduled. Valentine's was held on the 7th. Tucked into the page was a picture of my then boyfriend and me, arms around each other, and smiling. The Valentine's Day dance. I'd invited my first boyfriend. I wore a new pinstripe suit with a blue shirt and a black bow tie. He wore a vest and a magenta shirt. We danced, ignoring the stares. One teacher stood nearby, like a bodyguard. We were one of 3 gay couples. The only guy couple. There weren't any problems. We went back to his place and made out 4 hours, until his parents came home. "What's that?" Dad pointed at something near the bottom picture. The photo was of the student body officers and cheerleaders who organized the dance. Underneath, someone had scrawled a phone number in the same handwriting as the letter. "Breadcrumbs?" Chad suggested. I stared at each person in the photo. Over the years, I'd had classes with many of them. Maybe he wasn't even in this picture. But the letter suggested he debated this long before. Why this picture? So many people, it wouldn't be obvious, unless you knew who you were looking for. What did the chess team and the Valentine's dance have in common? I looked at the chess team and spotted the one thing they shared, or the person, Shale Stone. In the lower right-hand photo of the chess page, Shale faced off against another student over a chessboard. The caption listed him as a member. In the group photo, he was the third from the end. He had a serious expression, eyebrows furrowed, mouth tight. He looked anxious or hiding. Shale had never come out. We were lab partners for a week in physics, I said. And in English, I think he was one of the people who critiqued my final draft before I mailed it to Analog. You going to call him? Chad asked. Probably not, I said, putting the card back into the envelope and the envelope back into the yearbook. It's been 3 years. We were never friends. Why would he even remember me? He left a letter in your yearbook and his phone number. He'd remember, Dad said. $20 if you call him, Chad said, grinning wickedly. Right now. It's Saturday morning. So, Chad said. I'm broke. I don't get paid until the end of the month. Chad thumbed through his wallet and pulled out 2 bills. You've got no excuse now. When was the last time you went on a real date? A video game event does not count. I go on dates. You're old enough to drink, Dad said. You've got a nice place. Ask him to a bar or something. No, I protested. Too much going on. Chicken, Chad said, glancing at Dad. Dad chuckled and reached into his wallet. I've got $15. That should cover a couple of beers. I don't have a car, I said. Just a bike. Am I supposed to pull up to his place and say, hop on? I'll look ridiculous. I've never heard so many excuses, Chad said. A guy gave you his number. Call him. That was 3 years ago. So, 20 will get you a pizza, Chad said. Take him to Alashiba. Dad grinned like he'd won the Super Bowl. Pull your phone out of your pocket and start dialing. That's an order. With you guys listening? My brother folded his arms. God, will you stop with the excuses? You want the money or not? Show me you're good for it. Chad dropped the 2 $10 bills onto my cluttered desk. Dad added his 15. You two are a serious pain, I grumbled, but I pulled my phone out. He's probably changed his number. On speaker, my brother said. No, I said, and dialed. It's ringing. Chad nodded. One ringy-dingy, I said. Dad leaned against the wall. 2 ringy-dingies, I said. See, he's not answering. Chad shrugged and pursed his lips like he was blowing me a kiss. 3 ringy-dingies, I said. Dad looked at me. Keep going. 4 ringy-dingies. The phone clicked. A voice said, hello? I recognized it. Shale. A flicker of panic thudded through my chest. Hi? I said. Hello, Shale said again. I don't recognize the number. I swallowed and dove in. Is this Shale? Don't hang up. I'm not a salesman. We kind of knew each other back in high school. A pause. Something metallic clanked in the background. When he spoke again, it almost sounded like he smiled. I knew a lot of people from the old alma mater. Who is this? Chris, from physics and English? I said, my mind sprinting for the right words. Shale went quiet. I continued, you wrote your phone number in my yearbook. A Chihuahua card led me to it. I just found it. More clanking. Someone let out a heavy breath. A deeper voice said, it's too light. Add 10. Just a sec, Shale whispered. A song played faintly in the background, Levitating by Dua Lipa. It's too public in here. Where are you? William's gym. It's on South Limestone, not far from the university. My new place is near campus, I said. Chad pantomimed. Ask him to coffee. I flipped him off. Chad laughed. A jingle of bells came through the phone, followed by a whisper of breeze against the mouthpiece. Still there, Chris? Shale asked. I turned away from my family, pretending to have privacy. This was a bad idea. What do I even say? It's been a while. I just wanted to say thanks for the card. I just found it. You taped it back in high school? I carried it with me for weeks. Took a while to build up the courage, Shale said, his voice quivering. You don't have to be afraid, I said. I'm mostly a nice guy. You could be you and weren't afraid, he said. Did his voice choke? Or was it the phone line? High school was a pain for all of us, I replied. My brother stepped into view and exaggeratedly mouthed the word coffee. I rolled my eyes, making sure Chad saw it. I could almost kick him. It's good hearing from you, Shale said. Hey, I said, trying not to let Chad distract me. Do you want to grab something to eat tonight? Catch up? Talk about high school? It would be nice to see you, but I have work tonight. Inwardly, I sighed. Outwardly, I said, Oh, that's too bad. Where do you work? A bar called Flipside on Richmond Road, next to Articelli's Italian restaurant. What if we met earlier for pasta and garlic sex? I mean, sticks. Say 6 o'clock? I have to report by 8, he said. Does anyone know? I asked. Besides you? No, it's complicated. You can tell me about it tonight, I said. 6 at Articelli's. Timidly, his voice wavering, Shale asked, Is this a date? How do I answer? Chad and Dad want it to be. It might be Shale's first with a guy? Best not to spook him. It's two friends catching up. When I ended the call, Chad and Dad high-fived. We went out to breakfast, but once they left, I was alone in the ruins of my first apartment. I didn't think I owned that much stuff, but the number of boxes said otherwise. Even at 1 box a day, it would take 3 or 4 weeks. That night, I took one last look at myself in the mirror. I grinned. Tonight would be fun. Chad sent one last text. Good luck, little bro. Give me details tomorrow morning. I wore casual shorts and a short-sleeve white button-down, clipped my front tire back on. I'd installed a quick-release skewer years ago, and rode my bike to the restaurant. I arrived 5 minutes early and locked it near the sign out front. Shale was already waiting. Nice bike, he said. Chino slacks, black t-shirt, thin silver chain around his neck. He scratched his back as he walked towards me, his eyes darting to my legs and lingering. The man had a few gay genes inside those jeans. How had I missed it in high school? Snapping the padlock closed and removing the tire, I grinned. It's a Schwinn Wayfarer hybrid, same bike I used back in high school. 7 gears, rack on the back, pretty reliable. Except for replacing the brake pads, fixing a flat, and tightening the chain ones, it's been solid. No car? He asked, trying to keep the conversation going. Paycheck only covers tuition and rent, no room for frills. We walked to Articelli's, tire in my left hand, wondering if I should use my right to hold his hand. Bad idea. We were never friends. No way we were ready for that. Any roommates? He asked, voice a little too loud. Was he nervous? The awkward glance he gave me. Was he asking if I had a roommate or a boyfriend? I chose humor. Can't afford one of those. What, roommate or boyfriend? His voice, though smooth, cracked. His glance lingered a moment too long. Either would be nice, I replied. Shale held the door for me. He wore citrus cologne, was freshly shaven, and his styled hair had product. His chinos were creased, his t-shirt neatly pressed, and his loafers shined. He'd spent time getting ready. The shirt didn't hide his body. It accentuated it. Lean, streamlined, more gymnast than football player. Shale noticed the way I looked at him and blushed. To break the tension, I chose a neutral topic. Tell me about the chess team. Did your parents play? No, Shale said. Just me. Dad made me join basketball in middle school. I never made the cut. Didn't want to. Dad played for the Wildcats back in the day. My older brother made the team, played in high school, and even for the University of Kentucky. Was a Wildcat. Never stops reminding me. Played in the NCAA 2 years and was on the team when they won the SEC conference. But not you? The waitress took us to a table and handed us menus. We both ordered water. Me? That's all I could afford. Him? He had work after. Our waitress brought our food. Pasta primavera for me, chicken parmigiana for Shale. Good thing we skipped beers. I had just enough money for the meal and a 10% tip. We talked about surface things, weather, jobs, past relationships. I take it didn't end well, I asked. Shale lowered his gaze, a grimace tugging at his mouth. Steve left me. Said I not only hid in the closet, I nailed the door shut behind me. The weight of the sentence rattled me. I asked the question I'd already guessed the answer to. Did you ever tell anyone you were gay? Very few. My girlfriend figured it out, said I was more interested in her brother than her. Shale smiled, but it barely lasted. Girlfriend? I asked. You still dating? It's only show. I can't sustain not with her or any girl. It was embarrassing. I'm not wired that way. She said she understood. Shale paused as if searching the leftover sauce on his plate would provide an answer. Have you ever buried yourself so much that you don't even know who you are anymore? I leaned forward, took his hand, and dove into the deep end. I asked another question I already knew the answer to. You never told your parents because you're afraid they wouldn't love you? Shale locked eyes with me, but he didn't pull his hand away. Every time a gay character came up on TV, they made fun of him. Didn't matter what show, they blew up. When they learned there was a lesbian couple, Izzy and Fern on Power Rangers, they couldn't stop the jokes. Found clips online and wouldn't let go. When Levi kissed Nico on Grey's Anatomy, Dad was almost obscene. 911 Lone Star? My brother mocked TK and Carlos so bad, Mom turned the flat screen off and told them to grow up. Your mom knows about you? I asked. Doubt it, he said. I never told her. She just got tired of them being idiots. I let my thumb play across the back of his hand, letting the stillness speak for us. Shale was afraid of being seen. For all he'd accomplished, he was ashamed of himself. He turned away, avoiding my eyes, but still didn't pull his hand back. Maybe that was enough for now. I hoped that one gesture proved that one person, me, saw him as who he was. "You're beautiful," I whispered, "and I'm proud of you." His fingers clasped mine, and his eyes glanced back at me. "Everyone comes out in their own time and in their own way," I said softly, hoping a little of my strength could comfort him. "You can't rush it." I let those words hang between us, a fragile bridge made of light and truth. We didn't speak. We let our eyes whisper what words could not. The seconds felt like minutes, interrupted only by the waiter returning with the bill. My bike and I walked Shale to the bar where he worked. As we neared, I handed him my phone. "If you ever need to talk, call me. I work Sunday morning, but tomorrow afternoon I'm setting up my apartment." We exchanged numbers. I didn't think much of it. Tuesday, October 11th. My phone rang as I opened the door to my new place. A little before noon, I pulled my phone out of my pocket without checking the caller ID. "Hello?" "Sounds like this is a bad time?" "Hi, Shale. Just a bad class." "Tell me about it," he said. I propped my bike against the wall, closed the door, and said, "Astronomy 101, From Earth to Beyond. It's an elective. Wasn't supposed to be heavy on math, but I'm starting to think astronomy is just math dressed up with stars. Results for the last test came back today." "And?" 62%, I said, unstrapping my pack from my bike. I looked for a clean spot on the table. Not finding one, I set it on the chair. 2% more and it would have been a D-. "You weren't good at math back in high school?" "I didn't flunk," I replied, "but I was lucky to get a C or C-. My brain's just not wired that way. It's good to hear your voice. What can I do for you?" "Tomorrow's my day off. You free for dinner? Since you paid Saturday, I'll buy this time." My soul smiled. "As in a date?" I echoed the words he used Saturday. His voice held a smile. "If you bring your homework, we can call it tutoring. I was pretty good in math. Went all the way to college algebra." "Tutoring," I said. "I'd like that. Where are you thinking?" "Jenny Lynn's Cafe. Great burgers. Tables big enough to spread out your books." Jenny Lynn's Cafe is an hour's ride from here, I thought. Maybe, but I'll make it work. Out loud, I said, "I get off at 5. What time do you want to meet?" "Tell me where you work and I'll pick you up. We'll throw your bike in the back." "I'm a cashier at the DIY warehouse on Richmond Road. My shift's from 1 to 5. "Part-time, and you've got enough for your own place and tuition?" "Student loans make wonderful things happen," I replied, plopping down on my cluttered couch. "But I'll be paying for it for the next decade." "You're amazing. I wish I had it all together like you." I shrugged, brushing some papers off the couch so I could put my feet up. "I budget like it's a game. Every receipt keeps me honest, and this way I can prove to my folks that I can live on my own. I love them, but I don't want to go back." I wish I was there. I looked down at my shoes. A shoelace had come undone. I just don't want to owe anyone. "I get that," Shale said, "but you could let someone help." We spoke 5 more minutes, then hung up. I had to eat before leaving for work. Wednesday, October 12th. As promised, Shale picked me up. A 5-year-old blue Chevrolet Trax. He quickly folded the seats down. I released my bike's front tire, and together we loaded it in the back. We drove down Nicholas Road toward downtown. Got stuck in rush hour traffic, especially near Reynolds Road. "I think your bike would be faster," Shale quipped. Have you ever wondered why dates always involved food? Sharing food? Is it an age-old bonding ritual? Maybe a peace offering? Or the modern echo of a wedding feast? I glanced at Shale as he drove. His clothes were pressed to impress. He wore the same cologne from the other night. A gentle sparkle hovered in his eyes. Casual hair that meant he spent hours getting it just right. When we arrived at the diner, we ordered tomato bisque soup and grilled sandwiches with cheddar, bacon, and cream cheese. We shared an order of fries and a couple of shotgun weddings to drink. Shale relaxed into the seat and said, "Get the books out and let's see what we're dealing with." We sat side by side as I explained the math. He read through the test. The 62% D at the top in letters that could have been sky written. Made notes, then asked, "Were you allowed to use your phone for the math?" "No," I said. "The professor worried we'd use AI to do the math for us. Phones were collected at the beginning of class and returned when we left." "Harsh," Shale said, not looking up. For the next 3 hours, we didn't talk about families, or high school, or coming out. We talked about class, about math, about apartments. Shale still lived at home, but spent as little time there as he could. My place was a just-moved-in disaster. Between work and school, I'd only organized my clothes and food. "My folks sent me with everything they'd hoarded over the last 21 years, I said. "You know those papier-mâché ceramics every first grader makes? Mom kept them, sent them with me, her way of cleaning house." "My mom's the same," he said. "She even had my baby shoes gilded in bronze. They're hanging in her bedroom next to my brother's." "Does that qualify as creepy?" I asked. 3 hours slid past us, and we never noticed. We'd gone through the entire test, reworked every problem, and simply chatted about the Seinfeld of life. We drove home, Ruvy's Jade playing in the background. His hand lay atop the console ridge, alone, as if waiting for someone to notice. I placed my hand on his, warm, toned, and firm. He turned his hand slightly, and our fingers interlaced. His palm was dry and calloused, from the weights, I assumed. A strong hand. "I could use a tutor," I whispered. His smile was almost an answer. "Can I apply?" "We'd have to meet 2 or 3 times a week, and the semester's not even half over." "I'm free Wednesdays," he said. But the way he tilted his head, stared at his hands, I felt he wanted to ask something deeper, something uncomfortable. Instead, Shale stretched. "The night doesn't have to end," he asked. "My place looks like a Category 5 tornado hit it," I said. "Sorry." The streets were quieter now. The lights had come on. As we neared my place, Shale glanced my way but kept driving. "Can I ask you something personal? If it's too much, just say so. Maybe it's none of my business." His hand rested on the console again. I laid mine atop it and waited. "How did you come out?" he asked. "I told my friends first," I said, remembering the computer setup in the living room. It was 8th grade. I was playing Call of Duty PvP on Xbox with my best friend and a couple of online friends. We were in the middle of a stealth mission, sneaking around, being quiet, when he said, "You know we already know and don't care." "Know what?" I asked, mashing the crouch button and switching my ready weapon to a grenade. "Don't be obtuse, Chris," he said, voice crisp through the headset. "I've seen the rainbow flag on your desk." "You know I'm gay?" I set the controller down and stared at his image in the corner of the screen. My best friend smirked and said, "Gotcha, you're dead, finally." What? That's when he snuck up behind me and killed me. The perfect distraction. Even now, I laugh. You must have hated him for that, Shale said. Your parents, how did they take it? Dad didn't care. Said his coworker had a son my age he would set me up with. Seriously? Shale asked. Mom pouted for a month, I said. Caught her crying a couple of times, but she's okay with it now. Crying? Shale asked, pulling up in front of my apartment. Something about saving all my toys and baby clothes for grandkids. She sent all that crap with you to your new place? He said. One look at the mess and you'll know I speak the truth. I unbuckled. I'd invite you in, but it's a disaster. Maybe next time. I report to the bar at 8, and we close at 1 on weekdays. Then I clean up. Shift lasts until 4 in the morning. Dinner on Friday? Pepper's Mexican Grill, I asked. My turn to buy? That place in the strip mall on Heartland Parkway? Shale asked, not quite hiding the grin. I'll pick you up at your work. Bring your books. Let's get you passing. Friday the 14th was our third date in a week. Less tutoring, more talking. There came a moment, a delicate heartbeat when I dipped a tortilla chip into his enchilada sauce. He retorted by stealing a bit of chicken from my plate. Delicious food made better by this delicious man. As we were both about to go our separate ways, Shale looked at me, his eyes wide and earnest. Can I kiss you? I nodded. We met halfway, giggling slightly as our noses bumped before we connected. The warmth of his lips, the feel of his hands on my shoulders. I let myself surrender into his arms, into the fire of his kiss. I shivered and inhaled. His cologne had faded a little, but it was there, enough to fall in love with. Our breaths came as one, in harmony with one another. You should have said something back in high school, I whispered, panting, my heart sprinting. Shale smiled, a beautiful living thing that lifted my heart. We parted, barely enough so our foreheads rested together. Shale kept his tone low, sultry, leaned in, and lightly nuzzled my ear. I wish I didn't have to go to work. Text you later, I whispered. I rode my bike home while Shale headed to the flip side. Sunday the 16th, I didn't have to work. I spent all morning either tossing out the junk Mom had saved or dreaming of ways to make my apartment look sexy. Not going to happen. Not on my budget. It looked like every dorm room in existence. Posters on the wall, a philodendron in the window, and smelled like fresh laundry. For fun, I baked cookies. It's only the Pillsbury kind, but fresh cookies are the best air freshener. A text arrived from Shale. I'm free this afternoon. Need to study? I've been working on my place. Come on over and tell me what you think. He was there in 20 minutes with takeout tacos. I like your place, Shale said, his eyes bright, his smile infectious. I laid the books on the table, I said, walking over and kissing him. You know those scenes in old movies where they fade to black? Let's say we faded to black. Afterward, we rested in my full-sized pillow-top bed, cuddling. I lay my head on his shoulder. He lightly kissed my temple. Our fingers intertwined. The comforter spread lightly across us. The afternoon had flown around us. Sorry, Shale said, his voice tender and soft. What for? We didn't get much studying done. I leaned up and kissed him. He took a long, slow inhale, holding my eyes with his. I like being here with you. It feels, I don't know, right. It does, I said. What are you saying? Shale ruffled his fingers through my hair and hesitated before speaking. I don't want this to be a casual thing. I feel something for you. I guess what I'm asking is if we can keep going. I gave Shale my wickedest grin. 2 problems. I don't think we'll get a lot of studying done. I mean, I haven't passed yet. We'll study in public places, Shale said. And the second? You better call in sick tonight. I twisted a little and began nuzzling his neck. 6 months passed like a dream. On April 15th, Shale was moving in. His family brought his stuff. He still hadn't told his family that we were boyfriends. They thought we would be roommates. His brother carried in a bunch of shirts and looked around. Where's your closet? Where's your bed? Didn't you say you had one? Shale pointed at our pillow-top mattress. It's right there. Where does Chris sleep? His dad said as he entered. Usually the right side, I replied. And I take the left, Shale said, stepping beside me and holding my hand. You mean you're... His brother mumbled. We pointed at the little rainbow flag on the desk. Seriously? His dad yelled. And if you ever disrespect either one of us, Shale said, smirking, bro, you won't be my best man. And Dad? Yeah? Shale squeezed my hand, the one with the gold ring on the finger. I'll get Uncle Steve to walk me down the aisle instead of you. His dad threw back his head and laughed. We can't have that. Welcome to the family, Chris. Thank you for listening, my friends. I'm Gio, and I had a lot of fun writing this short piece. I hope you enjoyed it. If you'd like to experience my other channel, it's at Loud and Proud L3Q. The link is in the description. I love you all. Peace, my friends.